If you're taking your 2020 or newer JT Gladiator off-road, or have even just upgraded to a larger set of tires and want to beef up your steering in order to handle it, this Rock Jock Correct Link heavy-duty steering system is a kit you should look into. Now, steering is one of the components that's very important to any Jeep build, and sometimes it gets kind of neglected, leading to it being beat up from tough trails, off angles, and added lifts, as well as heavy tires pulling on the components over time. This system, however, is a beefed up option for a much more durable build to hold up to those heavy duty components that you may have added to your JT, while dialing in your ride with stability and handling that you may need for your Gladiator, whether you have a stock suspension or a lift kit that's up to 6 inches in height. This system comes with both the drag link and the tie rod, with the ends both being much larger than stock and adding in strength the factory system just couldn't bring to the table, and the rod ends offer a solid refresh to any worn or damaged ball joints that you're currently working with on your system on your JT. Now, the ends are also greasable, so you can maintain them over time and up the life expectancy of them, and both links are double adjustable, which makes for a very easy alignment when it comes to dialing in these setups. Now, one standout feature that this kit has over some of the other choices in the category is the high mount steering stabilizer relocation bracket. Now, it's needed because of the size change, but it moves up the stabilizer out of the way from any head-on obstacles that your JT may encounter off-road or even on-road, offering a bit more clearance out of the system as a whole. Now, the drag link is made of a 1.3 inch diameter solid forged steel construction, and the tie rod has a 1.65 inch alloy steel construction, both being much larger and much more heavy duty than the factory links to eliminate the risk of bending or failing off-road. And if they do ever come into contact with any head-on obstacle, you can have some peace of mind knowing that they will hold their own. Now, everything also has a tough powder coat on top to resist any surface damage or rusting over time. The ball joints also have refreshed boots and tough pins for a solid link and resistance to any contaminants or other debris getting in. Now, the stabilizer shock mounting kit is also made of a tough steel construction and comes with all of the necessary hardware for a stable mount for the best performance. Now, this kit is roughly $825, which is a fairly average price point for a heavy-duty steering kit. Now, there are a couple of things that really make this kit stand out. One being is the fact that this comes with the drag link and the tie rod together in a kit, and they include a mount for the stabilizer, as to where some of their options are offered separately or come separately, so you kind of have to piece them together. These are also huge, they're double adjustable, and they have a no-frill design, requiring no drilling or modification to your knuckles or any other components while working with up to that 6-inch lift height. Now, some choices may not offer that and may require certain things like drilling or a more limited lift range when installing them. So if you're looking for a well-rounded system that kind of covers all your bases, this is a great option to consider. Now, install calls for some experience, so this is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and if you've got the right tools and the right setup, it should only take about 2 hours or so to do the install. Now, I do highly recommend an alignment after the install for the proper tire wear and proper performance out of this set. However, at this point, I'm going to hand you over to one of our installers, and they're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how this bolts up to the JT, whether you are tackling this job or you're just curious about the install. So that wraps it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and jump into the install.
For this install, you'll need various impacts, a ball joint puller tool, a ratchet, an extension, a swivel adapter, 3/8 a 1/2 inch adapter if necessary, 8, 13, 18 deep and shallow, 19, 21 deep and shallow, 19 millimeter swivel socket, 10, 14, and 19 millimeter wrenches, a 21 millimeter ratchet wrench, a clip removal tool, needle nose pliers, dead blow and regular hammers, a large adjustable, a pry bar, and also not shown here is a ratchet strap and some pull jacks or an extra set of hands to help you with your track bar. What's up, folks? Today we're going to be doing a heavy duty steering kit on our Gladiator, so let's get started. Alright, so to get started, we have our vehicle up on the lift and we do have the front wheels off. The first thing we're going to do to make this a little bit easier is to remove this lower splash guard It's held in by some push clips along the top and then a couple small screws at the bottom. So we've got our clip removal tool and we're gonna pop those out first, then we'll come back and get these out. So these side ones, you have to come in kind of behind the little shroud and work those out. These ones are a little bit trickier to get. Once you pop that out, work your way down, and pop all these out. Next, we can remove the two bottom screws. So we've got our 8mm socket. We'll run these out. And once you drop that first one, you're going to need to support this because it'll want to come out. Just drop that down and out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is remove our steering stabilizer from our tie rod. We don't need to disconnect it from the frame side. We're just going to remove this 18mm nut with our 18mm socket. Now this is under a little bit of tension because obviously this is hydraulic, so we're just going to take a dead blow mallet and give this bolt some soft taps until that gets up high enough. Now you may want to grab a pry bar, help you pop that all the way out. Now we don't need to actually remove this from its seat on this perch because once we take our tie rod out, this will separate and it will all come out. So our next step is going to be to remove our tie rod. Now this is one piece essentially connected to both of your knuckles and it's held on by these 21mm nuts. So what we're going to do is loosen both of these 21mm nuts. We're not going to fully remove them just yet. We're going to grab our 21mm socket on our impact, loosen these up. Okay, you want to leave that. Now we got lucky and ours came right out. Sometimes you're not going to be so lucky. You might need to take a hammer and smack on the edge of your knuckle right here to kind of shock that out. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, now once you've got your ball joints unseated, we're going to support our tie rod and fully remove these nuts. And we can slide our tie rod out and set that aside. Next, we're going to remove our steering arm. Now we're going to start at the pitman arm side, that's the side up under the vehicle. We're going to grab a 21mm ratchet wrench and get this nut loose. Now you will need to support this because without that tie rod, even with it, once you start moving this, this is going to move your knuckles. Again, we're not going to fully remove this just yet. We'll keep that a couple threads on. Now we're going to loosen up the 21mm nut on our knuckle, again with our 21mm socket. Now you notice if this starts to spin, there's a way we can handle that. So now if you need to hold the stud to prevent it from spinning, you want to grab your 21mm ratchet wrench and a 10mm wrench. You can lock that 10mm onto the stud itself and loosen it up that way. Now again, we are getting lucky, and as you can see, our ball joint is unseating itself. Sometimes you're not going to get that lucky. You'll either need a puller or a hammer to tap on your knuckle. Okay. Now that we've got this side loose, we can try to unseat our other ball joint. Now to get this upper ball joint unseated from our pitman arm, we're going to grab a hammer and try to give it a few taps. Now in this area you got to be pretty precise. You have some lines and stuff going on here, so you don't want to just recklessly start swinging. All right, so as you can see, sometimes these are pretty difficult and it is in a tight spot. So what we're going to do is drop this side down. So we're going to remove this nut, drop that down. What this is going to do is A, give us a little bit more room to work with, and B, this little bit of weight here is going to provide some tension to help this thing kind of pop down. Now once this is out, you can kind of turn this to get your pitman arm in a better position. You don't want to move your knuckle because you want this to go back to where you have it. Now, again, you will need an alignment after installing this, but you want to keep everything as close as possible. So now this thing is being pretty difficult. So we've got our ball joint puller on here. So we've got this set up. Now there are many different styles of these depending on what style you have available. If you don't have one of these, kits are available for rental or purchase at any automotive parts store. So ours uses a 19mm socket. Just gonna very gently apply pressure on this. Now we still have the nut on here, so it's gonna catch it once it falls. There we go. Release that. And we'll pick up on this and remove this nut. We'll get that out of the way. Alrighty guys, now that we have everything off, the first thing we're gonna do before we install our new setup onto the vehicle is get kind of a baseline adjustment for our steering arm and our tie rod itself. You wanna do this to get it as close as possible back to the stock specs, even though, again, you will need to go to the alignment shop and get this properly aligned once you finish installing this. Now, this is the passenger side. We're gonna leave that lined up with our stock passenger side. This does have an adjuster. It's pretty much all the way in, but you wanna make sure you have a little bit of thread play on that. And the way to adjust that is you're gonna loosen this nut. Now on the vehicle, this tie rod itself is gonna spin, but if you take it off like we have on the table, you could do it one of two ways. You wanna grab a large adjustable wrench and pop this retaining nut loose so that you can spin it by hand and back it off to allow for adjustment. And you can move this in or out. It is right-handed threads, so wherever you want to go with it, you need to go with it, you can. And once you're done adjusting, you can grab that wrench and tighten that back up. Now this is easier to do when it's on the vehicle because that's going to hold in place much better. But again, we're using this as the benchmark to line it up so our ball joints are in line. Now we'll move over to the driver's side. And once you're at the driver's side, you're gonna need to loosen up this clamp. And to do that, you'll need a 19mm wrench, an 18mm socket. Then you can just loosen this clamp up. As you can see, it's gonna start to move. And we can grab our adjustable, hold the tie rod. Okay. Now the driver's side is going to be much easier to adjust on the vehicle. This is just to show you how it's done. You're going to need to loosen up this retainer clamp with an 18mm socket and a 19mm wrench. You want to loosen that up. And once again, you can take your adjustable and get it over here onto this nut. And then you'll be able to move the entire tie rod for the driver's side in or out and set that back in line. Now ours are pretty close to in line, so we're going to leave it as it is. And we'll tighten this clamp back up. Now that we've got that set just as a baseline, we can move on and adjust our steering shaft. Now as far as our steering shaft goes, this comes with a double clamp, more traditional Jeep style clamp for your steering shaft. Now these are loose out of the box. So what you want to do is just line up your ball joints. So we'll get them pretty close. Now we're probably going to have to make small adjustments on the vehicle, but as you can see, this does spin. Now you can also turn this on the vehicle. That's going to straighten up your steering wheel and do all that. We'll give you a little bit more info on that on the vehicle. It's much easier, but you just want to make sure everything is pretty close as of right now. Now we're going to install our steering shaft. We'll go into the pitman arm first. We'll get that lined up, get our nut on. Just going to snug that down for now by hand. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And we'll get the other side onto the knuckle. Again, this is where you may need to make adjustments. So we're going to spin that in. Just get it closer to the factory setup. We'll get that through. Get that nut on as well. Now we're going to tighten down our pitman arm nut with our 21mm ratchet wrench. Okay, now we'll tighten down our knuckle side with our 21mm socket. Now this setup allows for cotter pins, which do come with your kit. So we'll slide those through the opening on our studs. Now there's no real wrong way to bend a cotter pin. Everybody's got their preferred method. The main goal is to just get those bent around. These are pretty stiff. You just want to bend these around the stud so that they won't come out, and that prevents your nut from coming off. You can use some needle nose pliers if they're a little stiff like ours are. And any real way you want to do it is fine. We'll do the same thing for our pitman arm stud. Now we can install our tie rod, so we'll start with the passenger side. Again, we'll get that nut on. Now we do have this adjuster nut loose so that we can spin this and line up our driver's side. We'll get that in now. Get this nut on as well. Now we can tighten both of these down with our 21mm socket. Once again, we'll install our cotter pin. Use our needle nose pliers to twist that back. All right guys, so now that we've got this mounted, we're gonna remove our stabilizer because we're gonna also install the high mount relocation kit for our stabilizer. It's pretty simple to do. We're gonna get an 18mm swivel socket, and this has a flag nut on the back. That should fall out. And we'll support our stabilizer. Pop that off. Now we're also gonna remove the factory bracket on our axle. So we've got a 13mm socket. Got 2 bolts up top and then 1 back here. Remove that bracket. Next, we're gonna need to remove our track bar bolt. So we've got a 21mm socket with a swivel adapter and an extension. Now once you have that removed, we're gonna also remove our lower sway bar end link bolt. Now we'll get on our lower sway bar end link bolt with an 18mm socket and our ratchet, and we're gonna break this free. This also has a flag nut on the back of it. Pull that out. Now we can grab our high mount relocation bracket, and we'll line that up with our mounting points for our sway bar end link and our track bar. We're gonna send that factory bolt right back through our sway bar end link. You wanna make sure you get that flag nut back on it. We'll get this started. Alright guys, so now we're gonna have to get our track bar bolt back in. Now, anytime you take your track bar bolt out, your differential is gonna shift a bit, and it's kind of difficult to get it back in place. There's a couple ways you can go about this. One, you could wait till you throw your wheels back on, get it on the ground, have a buddy kind of steer the wheels. That's gonna help line it back up. Or two, if you're doing it by yourself up in the air like we are, you can grab a ratchet strap, and you're gonna hook one side to the differential, the other side to the chassis itself. Now you want to make sure when you do it this way, you're not impeding the movement of anything. Apply a little tension to this. You want to keep an eye on your track bar bolt, your track bar alignment rather. We're pretty close. We're gonna get our bolt, run that through our bracket, get that pretty much lined up with our track bar. And as you pull tension, you should be able to get that started. Okay. Now, once you've got your bolt most of the way through, make sure you line up your flag nut on the back side of that. Then you want to bring back your 21 mil socket and swivel. Once you have your flag nut started, we'll tighten this back down. Now we'll tighten our sway bar end link bolt back down with our 18 mil socket. Okay. Now we'll get our stabilizer bracket installed onto our tie rod with our provided U-bolt. So we'll get one U-bolt through. And on those, we're going to add a flat washer, a flange nut, once you have one on, that'll stay in place. We'll get one on the other side of the U-bolt. Get our other U-bolt on. Again, flat washer and flange nut for this. Now we're not going to tighten this yet because we're going to be able to adjust it to set our stabilizer on. Now we'll get our stabilizer in place. Now this naturally settles at centered. So we're going to go off of our new bracket here. And we're going to get our bolt through the front, and on the back side we're going to add in flat washer and a lock nut. We'll just set that loosely in place for now. So now we'll do the same thing for our U-bolt bracket that we just added in. We're going to need to slide this out a bit, get this lined up. Go. Get our bolt through, followed by our flat washer and lock nut on this side. Now we're going to grab a 19 millimeter wrench, a 19 millimeter swivel socket. We'll tighten this up. You want to have this nice and squared, and we'll tighten this down. Same deal. Okay. Now we want to make sure our stabilizer is straight up and down. We'll tighten our U-bolts down with our 14 mil socket and our impact. You can sneak one in here, just a little tight. I'll tighten these kind of crisscrossed. Back one is a little bit more challenging. You may need a regular wrench for that. So we'll get this other side. Lock that down. Now we'll tighten down our other side. You'll need a 14 millimeter open end wrench for this. It is a little bit of a tight squeeze with this stabilizer. Now you could always unbolt this again and tighten down this side now that it's set, or you can just go ahead with your wrench, get this side in. Now we'll get our lower splash guard back into place, get that tucked inside. We'll get a couple of our clips in on the top part. These just push back into place to get them lined back up. First one can be a little bit of a pain. Once you get that one in, it'll kind of hold it. Then we'll install the rest of our clips, followed by our screws. Now we'll get our 8mm screws back into place. That'll do it. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Rock Jock Correct Link heavy duty steering system for your 20 to current Jeep Gladiator JT. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Gladiator, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.